Am I the idiot for stealing my sisters-in-laws? I always thought my sister, female 27, and I, male 25, had a decently close relationship until a few years ago when it came out that she thought of me as a golden child. She held resentment towards me for things I just looked at as the typical more lax treatment of the younger child in a family. I honestly thought the whole thing was pretty silly, especially since we were both years out of being under our parents' roof at this point, so we went a while without talking. We saw each other at family events but didn't really speak. I was invited to her engagement party as a form of an olive branch extension. It was there I met her future husband's younger brother, and we immediately got along. The two of us got to know each other and spent about a year as friends before making things official around a month before my sister's wedding. I love his family so much. His parents are warm and inviting in a way that feels so genuine, even before I was introduced as a significant other. Not to knock my parents, but with them being lawyers and working politically adjacent careers, it can be easy to become jaded when you watch them schmooze to people's faces even when that doesn't reflect their true feelings. I was the first person he ever brought home to meet them, and they made me feel like part of the family immediately. Their youngest brother has been equally as welcoming and regularly schools me in Overwatch 2 by staying alive far longer than I ever could. When I told my sister this, thinking it was something we could bond over, she was angry again. Apparently she didn't receive the same treatment. This resulted in a big argument, which led to her saying something to the effect of, "I guess this is what happens when two golden children get together." I pushed back against this, and it further devolved with her pointing out that out of all the people in the world, she couldn't believe I had chosen her husband's brother. She said I had stolen opportunities from her growing up and now I was stealing her in-laws. I considered telling my partner's parents about this at one point to let them know the animosity my sister apparently holds towards them, but I decided against it. I don't really know where I stand in this conflict, and at this point I just like some outside perspective. Am I the idiot? You're the idiot. You are very dismissive of your sister's feelings and experiences. Telling your partner's parents about this would be a super low thing to do. You're the idiot. Everything about what you've written screams I need attention. You fell in love great. You announced it a month before her wedding. Totally unnecessary. You may or may not be a golden child, but you are the proverbial baby of the family, and seem like someone who can't function unless they are the center of attention. I can't wait to see what you do next. Announce your engagement at her baby's shower maybe? The purchase of a new home at their child's first birthday. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for yelling at my brother's pregnant girlfriend and kicking them both out of my house after she threw away my food? I, male 27, live alone. My brother, male 21, and his girlfriend, female 19, still live with our parents as they can't afford a place of their own. His GF is currently pregnant with him in 4 months. My brother asked to bring his girlfriend for dinner in order to catch up, and I said sure, why not? However, the moment she entered my house she started complaining about the smell of the steak I was making, and said just the smell alone makes her nauseous, and she can't eat this. I tried to suggest an alternative, but she was dead set on Chinese food and ended up sending my brother to the nearest mall in order to get her some. I thought that would be the end of it, but after going to the bathroom and coming back, I caught her throwing my unfinished steak into the garbage. I asked her what the hell she was doing and said the smell was so strong she thought she'd end up throwing up on the floor, and she needed to get rid of it, and then started spraying perfume from her purse in my kitchen. I was beyond furious at this point, and sent her back to the living room, and after my brother came back from the mall, I kicked both of them out with their Chinese food. My brother tried to convince me to let them back and that I could make something else for the two of us, and his GF was pretty much sobbing at this point, but I was dead set on kicking them both out. However, my parents ended up being mad at me for apparently causing so much distress to my brother's pregnant GF. I told them that she literally threw away our dinner, but they said that I shouldn't have yelled at her or kicked them out as she's still just a teenager who's now getting influenced by her pregnancy hormones, and that my outburst also caused problems in their relationship as she ended up sending my brother to sleep on the couch that night, even though he literally defended her as well against me, so I have no clue how this is my fault. Am I the idiot for apparently not having enough tact to deal with a pregnant teenager? Not the idiot. I'm pregnant too. My sense of smell is definitely heightened. I would never dream of throwing away someone else's food. If I had that much of a problem with it, I'd leave. Yes, she's a teenager. But if she's mature enough to have a child, she's mature enough to know you don't go into someone else's house and throw away their food. Not the idiot. I can completely understand the smell being too much for her. I was like that when I was pregnant. But the solution was for her to leave. Throwing away someone else's food was way over the line. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for making my dad's fiancée cry? My father, male 54, and his fiancée, female 30, have been together for about 6 years now. When they first got together, I, male 17, at the time, was still living at home. She moved in about a month into their relationship, and I didn't have a problem with her at first, until she tried to actually mother me. I'm not talking about giving advice or being a supportive role model, more like giving me a 9 o'clock curfew. I live in a rural town, so that's a joke, and cleaning up after her dog has an accident. Every time I'd bring it up to my dad, he'd say, "Just try for me." Needless to say, I moved out soon after. Fast forward to a week ago. My dad invites me over for dinner, out of nowhere, as we haven't spoken in quite some time. I hesitantly accept, and spend the following few days trying to prepare myself for what they're going to say. I show up that night, bottle of wine in hand, anxious out of my mind. The night goes on for a few hours, us exchanging small talk, until I can't take it anymore and ask why they invited me. My dad said that they were getting married and wanted me to be his best man. I'm not going to lie, I laughed hard. This turned into the fiancée crying because she thinks that I don't like her, and I told her she was correct. It should also be said that given the option between me or his fiancée, my dad would choose her in a heartbeat. For example, I went on a 2-day camping trip. I had a spot in the garage for my car when I left, she had it when I got back until I moved out. And I really only care about that because hail damage. I've been getting comments about if that was the worst the fiancé was while I was living there, so I guess this is info I should add to the post. She comes from a very Christian family, and if her parents found out about the situation, I've heard, she'd be essentially shunned. So I guess the biggest thing is her keeping us a secret. She expects us to just accept her into the family, and I guess her assumptions were somewhat correct. But how can she expect that when she doesn't think we're worthy of her family? She knows she's doing something wrong, yet she wants us to play along like no one is being hurt. However, at this point, I guess that one thing could have changed. I didn't ask at dinner. Not the idiot. I swear to God. My father did something similar to me when I was younger, in which, right before I met his girlfriend at the time, he said something along the lines of, "Don't act up and cause problems for me while she's here." This, along with your father telling you to try for him, is just so wrong. I'm so sorry your father doesn't respect you as much as he should. You have every right not to approve of their wedding, and while what you did may seem a bit harsh, I'd say it's fair since they clearly weren't listening before you moved out. Not the idiot, I still get surprised by parents who have kids and pick their partner over their child. Even though I have a parent who has been doing that for years. You told him your issues and he gave you the standard "just try for me" line. Which, by the way, a lot of them use. Mine says the same thing. You have been trying. He invited you to his house knowing already that you have issues with her and how he treats you when it comes to her. What was he expecting you to act like? Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for wanting to live with my older sister to get away from my other sister? I, 16F, have 11 siblings and I am the 6th youngest of the lot. I have 2 younger sisters aged 7 and 15 and 3 younger brothers aged 10, 12 and 14. My older sisters are aged 18, 19, 22, 24 and 26 while my only older brother is 28. After my parents, 48F and 37M, had an argument, I took up the role of being my younger siblings' part-time caretaker to help my parents to figure out their problems. Now I have been in a relationship for just over 6 months with my boyfriend, 17, and another thing to mention, I am currently 10 weeks pregnant without anyone in my family or my boyfriend knowing. My older sister, 18, has had difficulty dealing with it since I started year 11, and our parents aren't making things easier. She hasn't approved of my relationship since the beginning since my boyfriend rejected her long before we started dating. A few days ago I finally snapped after I was forced to make dinner just after hanging clothes on the line and giving my younger sister and a few of my nieces a bath. I was tired and cranky because I hadn't eaten the entire day and I hadn't slept well the night before. So I snapped and told my sister 18. Get off her lazy, spiteful and self-centered s to come up to me to make dinner or at least get the younger children dressed after their baths. She was not very happy and told me to quote, "Stop acting like I was the mother of everyone in the house and that I needed to stop acting as if I was pregnant." Now after she said that I was dumbfounded and shocked about it because as mentioned earlier, no one in my family knows I'm pregnant and I don't show it either. My mother has a tendency to take my sister's side whenever we get into arguments over anything. So after my sister said that to me, my mother agreed with her and told me that I needed to apologize to my sister because I stepped out of line and I have been for a while. My father on the other hand agrees with me because my sister had been doing this to me since I was little around 4 or 5. Now this might be where I might be the show. I have told my mother and sister that if they continue to treat me like I'm a slave and the carer of my siblings, then I would pack up everything I owned and go live with my older sister, 25. So I was away from them and closer to my boyfriend. Another reason I want to live with my sister is because she and my brother-in-law have always been so nice and caring towards me and my boyfriend. They helped us through a tough time in our relationship that had been the result of my sister, 18, trying to break us up. I'm at a loss right now because I have no idea what I should do. I don't want to leave my younger siblings at home with my older sister, but I also can't stay at this house anymore. So am I the idiot for wanting to live with my older sister to get away from my other older sister? You're the idiot because I couldn't read past the fact that you're 16, pregnant, and made a sister who doesn't like the BF who got you pregnant FS. You need to tell your family to get that sorted out with your BF and family, whichever way you want to handle it, keep it or not before you consider moving out. Secondly, do not move into a sibling's home without even letting them know you're pregnant. It just makes you a bigger A for putting that burden on someone else who had no say in the matter. Not the idiot for the part of stepping up. You're basically being everyone's mother and your sister isn't even helping, or is she? Please answer that. But, girl, you're 16 and your boyfriend is 17, you must have talked to him about that. A baby is a two-people matter, not only you. What kind of life is the baby going to have? Are you expecting your sister to help you with the pregnancy? Who are you expecting to help you with that? Info, why haven't you talked to anyone about it? Is there a particular reason? Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for not wanting my mother to be around my daughter? I, 28, female, recently became a mother to a beautiful baby girl. My mother, 51, female, has always been a difficult person to be around. She has a history of being verbally abusive towards me and my siblings, and has a tendency to become very angry over small things. Since having my daughter, I've been hesitant to let my mother around her. I don't want my daughter to be exposed to that kind of behavior. However, my mother has been pressuring me to let her see the baby. She says that she wants to be a part of her granddaughter's life and that she promises to be on her best behavior. Last week, my mother came over unannounced and demanded to see the baby. I told her that I wasn't comfortable with her holding her, but my mother became very angry and started yelling at me. She called me a terrible mother and said that I was keeping her granddaughter away from her. At this point, I lost my temper and told her that I didn't want her around my daughter at all. I reminded her of the way she had treated me and my siblings growing up, and how I didn't want my daughter to be exposed to that kind of behavior. Now my mother is telling everyone in our family that I'm keeping her granddaughter away from her, and that I'm being unreasonable. I know that my daughter deserves to have a relationship with her grandmother, but I can't bring myself to let her be around such a toxic person. Am I the idiot for not wanting my mother to see my daughter? For everyone saying please don't let my mom be around my daughter, I'm not. After this incident, I'm never having her around her. It's just I haven't talked to her in years, and it was like that empty feeling that I'd felt my whole life of just wanting a mother who cared. And when she said she'd be there and she'd be on her best behavior, I thought, well, maybe with my birth with my daughter she'll have a change, which I knew deep down that would never happen. It was just false hopes. But thanks everyone for their concerns. Not the idiot. Something tells me everyone your mother is telling already knows how she is prone to act out. I notice you didn't say anyone came to her defense, just that she has told others. You are well within your rights to keep toxic people away from your children, regardless of their relationship. Not the idiot. Your mother clearly cannot respect boundaries and your authority as a parent. She also likely won't respect your parental decisions and boundaries in the future. It seems she may need time to reflect on her behavior and probably therapy to address these issues. Being a grandparent is a privilege, not a right. You as a parent have every right to keep those people out of your child's life. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.